Good morning, friends. And it is morning here. Today, I'd like to share a little bit about the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions as I've been seeing them through my current landscape of reality and the things that have happened to me to create these changes. So, do you ever sense that you're a stranger in a strange land? Do you ever find that things that have always worked well are no longer working, that people you've related to, you're no longer relating to anymore, things that you used to do no longer hold the verve for you? Do you ever all of a sudden just have a thought drop out of your mind? Do you ever feel scattered when you know that you've had clarity? Have you ever felt tired and you know you didn't do anything to be tired? Do you ever sense that you're standing in front of a mirror looking back at this perspective going, whoa, what just happened? What just happened? Well, I say this, don't despair. Don't despair. You're probably going through some of the energetic dimensional shifts that are happening right now. Now, I want to say this, is that my name is Reverend Toni Bain, and I'm a very grounded person. I have a master's in nursing. I was a nurse practitioner. I've been a minister for 30 years. And I'm very grounded in the teachings. So these things that I'm talking about, I am not talking about them from a sense of woo-woo. I'm talking about them from one who is experiencing them, one who is demonstrating these things and has a clarity of understanding for the level of accord and alignment that I am in alignment with. So I just wanted to say that as a caveat. So since 2012, literally since the eclipse in 2012, there have been, and I have noticed, and other people are talking about it, many, many shifts going on. There are earth shifts, body shifts, DNA shifts going on inside of us, climate shifts, seismic shifts, dimensional shifts, perception shifts, brainwave shifts, sleep state shifts. I had one of those last night, and much more. And these are occurring more and more rapidly, and it's happening for a multitude of reasons that we will be discussing shortly. So we're in an evolutionary time. Things are changing. These dimensional shifts are in progress, and we're being asked to change. We, as a collective consciousness and as individuals, are being asked to change. Now, I want to say this, 10 or 15 years ago, if someone would say, you know, Toni, you're going to be in front of a computer and you're going to be talking to people about dimensional shifts, I would have went, whoa, I don't know. What are you smoking? Because that's not me. I would have thought of it as hippie new age. But now that these things are happening to me, and I want to talk to you about what happened to me in 2005. And I couldn't talk about it for over 7 years. So, because I didn't have the words. I had to align with the vibration. So we'll talk about that in just a few moments. But I am having my own experiences now with many multidimensional shifts. I really understand now. I am a multidimensional being. I really believe that we all have the capacity to see through the dimensions, to tap into new energy levels, to tap into new energy realms, to see things we haven't seen before, to hear in new ways, to understand at new levels of understanding. And more than all of that, to be a place of conscious neutrality. We all sing in the denomination that I'm in, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. That is what's happening, friends. Let us not be afraid of it. So our work is to learn how to manage our vibration and our own field of energy, because we are walking fields of energy. We live and move and have our being in a field of energy. Every cell of our being is a field of energy. Think about it. Our liver cells are liver fields of energy. Our kidney cells are kidney cells, and they all work together in a field of energy to keep this energetic being moving. So now I want to share with you what happened to me in 2005. At that point, I will probably stop the tape and then start a new one for the signs and signals of third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimensional shifts and changes. All right, so this experience in 2005. I was invited to go to Peru to work with a shaman. It was going to be for 2 weeks. And I said, yes. It came out of my mouth. Yes, I want to do this. I had no idea where we're going, no idea what we're going to be doing. But we went to the jungles of the Amazon to work with this highly renowned shaman who lived in the jungles, and you could only get there via a jitney, and you could only go at night. He would only work with you at night. So one of the nights, it was my turn to have a shamanic journey. And not going into all the details, but basically on my shamanic journey, I was shown 2 roads. And everything that happened in telepathically. I was telepathic. The guide was telepathic. The guide shapeshift into an angel. I shapeshift into an angel. So came to 2 roads. This road was the road I knew. At that time, I was vice president at in our denominational headquarters. I had 9 departments. I thought I was pretty slick, I gotta tell you. Pretty slick. And I had a love for God, but I did not have the understanding of what that meant that I have today. And I really felt that I was doing work in the world that was important. Again, didn't have a clue of what I know now. So it's road of more, just more. Tony, continue on this road if that's what you want, the angel said. But this road is the road of sacred service. I didn't have a clue of what it meant, but I knew it was the road that I was to take. So I went down the road. I took my first step of the journey, and I saw a few feet down the road a woman crying. And as this kind of etheric being with form, I went to the woman and I just embraced her with my energy field. And I knew she was dying. I knew she was making a choice as to whether to live or die. And I just held her and I kept sweeping energy. Didn't say a word to her, didn't interfere with her choice. It was her choice. But I just was in sacred service to her for whatever energy I might hold that might be of comfort and support for her. So after a while, she started to gain more light, and she got up and walked away. And I knew that this path of sacred service was a path that I wanted to continue on. So the next morning, I'm at breakfast, and I had just someone very, very close to me I was having breakfast with, and I had just relayed what happened on my shamanic journey. And many, many things happened in that night of my shamanic journey. But that's the piece that I want you to know. But it was a total shifting interiorly for me. So next morning, I'm just sharing this experience. And a woman comes up and says, "Can I have breakfast with you all?" And we said, "Sure, come on, sit down." So we're in this like Swiss Family Robinson place up on stilts. It's a hotel. Our rooms look down over the Amazon and all the trees, and you can hear the parrots and the caca. It was just delightful. And so she sits down and she said, "Did you hear what happened to me last night?" And no, I was having my shamanic journey. And she said, "I almost died." Oh, she said, "I had a severe allergic reaction to some of the herbs that were being used." And she said, "And I knew I was at a choice point moment." And she said, "And suddenly an angel came and wrapped its arms around me and just kept giving me light and energy. And she said, I knew I wasn't done. The energy that the angel brought me, I knew I wasn't done. So my friend with me was like, are you going to tell her? And I'm like, no. I didn't say it. I just went very slight. Because your friend, it wasn't about that. It wasn't about the ego any longer. That would have been the ego that wanted to say, that was me. That was me. No. It was about sacred service and how energetically I was going to be used from then on. And so it was just a great, great moment in my life that started to set the stage. Because when I came back from this shamanic experience, which also included going to Machu Picchu and laying upon the big observatory rock, which I didn't know you weren't allowed to lay on, and gathering all those energies. It was just a fun experience. So I came back, and everything that had been fitting for all those years that I had been working within the denominational system wasn't working anymore. Nothing seemed to fit. And in meditation, I heard the words, you are done. You are done. Ah, I am complete. I am complete. My time here, 20 some years of working in the system, I was complete. So in my infinite wisdom, I said, okay, Spirit, I'll create a plan for leaving, and I'll leave next May at the end of the school year. At that point, I was the dean of the ministerial school and vice president of education. So, interestingly, that wasn't Spirit's plan. Within 2 weeks, I was at a retreat. We were holding a retreat, and they had just waxed the floors, and the floors were kind of like this. They go down. So I'm at an angle on these waxed floors, and I'm dancing. And I go to turn. Now, isn't it interesting? The slightest turn in consciousness can make the biggest in your life. So I go to turn, and in the turn, I fall, and I become like a projectile. And I hit my head on the edge of a wooden chair. I knock myself out for a few seconds. And when I come to, I have no short-term memory. So I have to take a leave of absence. So because I had a mild traumatic brain injury, I couldn't, if you talked to me, I couldn't remember. I might remember that I saw you, but I could not remember our conversation. Well, when you're in leadership, that doesn't work too well. So I knew I had to take this leave of absence. So in taking the leave of absence, for the first 2 weeks, I want to be really truthful. I whined and I cried, and I was like, Spirit, how could you do this to me? I was the victim of everything, you know. And then in meditation, I still meditate, but in meditation, I heard the words, yes, yes. And I knew that yes was my empowerment system. Yes is your energetic source. Your energetic source. And so I went, yes, this is a moment. This is a choice point moment. This is my sacred service. Because even if I can never put two sentences together again, I can sit and pray. I can be a place of light like I was for the woman on the path. What greater service could somebody be in? And I surrendered in that moment. I totally surrendered to whatever my life was going to be about. That's exactly what it would be. What is. And I was real clear about that. So within a short period of time of just praying, I was in the kitchen, and in my prayer chair. I was actually in our keeping room, and in my prayer chair, and I just finished praying, and I got up again and made the slightest turn. And in that moment, I had what I call a luminous, mystical, primordial, transcendent, shattering experience that truly shifted every cell of my being. It was DNA, divine new architectural structuring happened within me. In that moment, that simple moment, this encounter arose from simplicity, praying, standing, taking a step. A radiant, luminous, infinite awareness moved Tony over like a sliding pocket door. Moved Tony over. And a luminous universal impulse. Now, I've had hundreds of spiritual experiences. This was not like anything that I'd ever had before. I've had lots of different types of phenomena. This was a radiant, luminous stillness that filled the space. And in the midst of it, I literally heard glass shattering, like a bubble that I had around me, a protective bubble, tinkled and shattering. It just shattered. And a silence, a void, a luminous darkness, a spaciousness of emptiness where there was nothing, no Tony, nothing, and yet everything. It was the moment of primordial existence. And I wasn't one with it. It was it. I got the difference. I wasn't one with it. It was it. It was what came into the being. So everything was silent, and yet there was a radiant, intense aliveness, a living, alive impulse that literally filled every cell of my being, and Tony, that small personal self, set aside. And only, as the ancient called it, perfect peace, profound, existed. And in that moment, I had a transcendent knowing of the interconnectedness of all things, that an aliveness with one, because there was only one, going back to that primordial moment of, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, that moment. Harmony, the harmonic resonant field. And I understood unconditioned love, not from third dimension. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. This was a harmonic resonant field that binds together the whole human family, the whole universe. And the divinity of existence was, in that moment, just revealed. A universal impulse. And in that moment, the Tony I knew, the Tony that liked to have all her matching things, the Tony that liked to be seen, the Tony that was desiring to always hold this important job or that important job, gone. The wants, the needs, put aside. No desires. And I knew there could never be a space of lack. I had known this, but now I knew there could never be a space of lack, and that I would always be part of the universal impulse of abundance in the universe. It was all there, just such simplicity, something that we seek all of our life, and in one moment, through an alignment with source, alignment in a prepared state, it was all revealed. And I knew there was nothing to get. It's all here. It's all here. And the biggest thing is that there was like this flash of all the people that I ever thought hurt me, betrayed me, And I also knew in this harmonic resonant field, there was never anything to forgive. Ever. There was only me to keep giving forth. Give for, forgive, give for. The truth of who I am as I am in alignment with it, as I am in accord with it, and as I be that field of energy, as the I am that I am is set up and becomes the dominant vibration of being, awareness of that existence, awareness of omnipresence, the form and the formless all in one place, in that profound luminous experience of all that is. I knew I am now pure being. I am now pure being. I am now spaciousness of emptiness. I am now luminous darkness. I am now the vessel. I am now alive in the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is that essence of the universal impulse that moves through each one of us. Call it Christ, call it Buddha, I don't care what you call it, but this universal impulse is a living presence that then imbues the cells of your body, and in imbuing the cells of your body becomes the power. It's no longer Tony working to develop these powers. These powers come alive. And this is what I knew then that the master teacher Jesus discovered. The powers come alive. He called the disciples, but they had to be worked with. And then they came alive on their own. They came alive to do the work. So the learning in the aftermath, I just shared a little bit, is that that impulse is a contagion. It's a felt contagion. And Mr. Fillmore says, one of my teachers from the ethers, who lived as a 20th century mystic, says, its touch is like a meltingness. This universal impulse, its touch is like a meltingness because it melts away the unnecessary, making way for the suffusing of presence into the now moment. Into the now moment. Its touch is like a meltingness. It melts away the unnecessary. It is that, for me, in that moment, a deep understanding of why the master teacher Jesus and first century spirituality of Christianity was so alive and could hold a teaching that has continued for 2,000 years, because of the reality that I realize now that master teacher touched, along with other teachers like Mr. Fillmore and others over time. So over time, a shift occurred, and that shift was absolutely palpable. It happened within me. So, and then it set up synchro divine events. And Synchro Divinity, it's the latest book that I wrote, but Synchro Divinity is when the universe conspires to set up events for you that you walk into, and they're like magic. They're unexpected, undetermined. They just happen. Right people, right place. You're at the right place. Things happen. Doors open. Awarenesses. It's an organizing power of this universal impulse that lives in the unified field of consciousness that you cannot create. It creates through you. It creates through you. And action, motivation towards action in a way disappears, because the only motivation you want is spirit motivation. So you take action as guided, and you take action even though this is higher dimensional. We're going to talk about that. Higher dimensional, you still have to take action in third dimension, but the action that is taken, because it is now guided by a higher power, is with grace and ease. Grace and ease. And here's what I know. Here's what I know, and here's what I say. The spirit goes before me to rearrange the matrix and throw open the field to highest possibility that I am in vibrational alignment to. The spirit goes before me to rearrange the matrix and throw open the field of highest possibility that I am in alignment to and with. Yes. So this state of high energy and vibration takes adjustment. It just doesn't move in. It moves in, but it takes adjustment. I couldn't talk about it for 7 years because I didn't have words. I didn't have words. I wasn't afraid that anybody would think I was crazy. I just didn't have words. I had to have time to assimilate. Yet it was making profound changes in my life because of this higher energy vibration. Because when the higher vibration moves through this field of this body, this field of energy known as body, the body has to recalibrate. I was in a 7-year recalibration system. Really, my DNA, I realize now, my DNA was being recalibrated at all different levels. And remember, I was in the midst of a head injury, and all of my neural pathways had to be rewired. And so I dedicated myself in that moment. If I was going to be rewiring, I was going to do a conscious rewiring. I was only going to read books by Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, because I feel like he was such a mystic, and I really wanted to recalibrate wanted that recalibration to be held at a high level. And so this adjustment's going on, but in the midst of it, we're having all these signs and symptoms that we talked about in the beginning. So I also believe this is why, as part of the blueprint that the master teacher left us, Jesus, is that after the resurrection, he couldn't stay. He was in this high vibrational, higher than I'm talking about even, high vibrational alignment with source. He was source energy. He wasn't alignment. He was that source energy, living, walking, breathing, moving. But the earth energies are so dense at that time that he had to leave in order to maintain that vibration. So vibrational alignment is really important, and that's what I spent 7 years doing, maintaining and staying in a vibrational alignment. And I attuned every morning, because attunement, sound, vibration, energy, frequency, I attuned every morning through the use of the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. Remember, Aramaic is one of the 2 oldest languages. It holds a sound, a vibration, a frequency. And as I chanted that prayer, I consciously opened the field of energy and just invited the field to be the universal impulse that lived through me, knowing that today is the day of my amazing good fortune and vibration. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune and vibration. So that sets up the story for 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimensional exploration and the signs and the symptoms and the things. So I want to leave you with the chant, the Aramaic chant that means forever and ever this is true, from age to age. So just sit back, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Matol delhei mokuta, wahaila watesh bukta, la alam amin, amen. Breathe those words in. Let the vibrations go down into your cellular memories. Have a great day. See you soon.